Hello, founders. It is time for another pitch deck critique and review. And this time we have a pitch deck from the startup Pro Aesthetics. And we're seeing here it says prosthetics service provider using VR and blockchain technology to provide treatments for amputees in crisis areas. But I'm going to admit right here, you lost me. And I just want to do this exercise with these founders and to walk you through my thought process on why you've lost me and maybe what you can do about it. Before I continue, my name is Ed Kang, 7-time funded founder with 2 X's. Just a fancy way of saying I failed a bunch of times. I've made a lot of mistakes, especially during fundraising, and that's to your benefit because I use videos like this to try and minimize the mistakes that you are going to make, learn from the mistakes that I've made. Not to say you're not going to make mistakes, but I try and reduce the pain that those mistakes cause because my mistakes have been pretty catastrophic in the past. If you are a founder and you are looking for a pitch deck critique and review, stay till the end of the video and I'll show you how to get that done. Also, if you are the founder of this startup and have sent this pitch deck, thank you very much for being so courageous. I encourage you to take my feedback and to show other people this video and see what they say, because I think you're going to get a lot of validation of where I'm coming from, and that's just going to help you process and get out of your mind and get that mom test going where they're going to give you honest feedback and you're going to learn what it takes to really pitch investors, the soft heart and the thick skin, because I guarantee you they're going to shoot holes through this pitch deck, and I want you to see what the rest of my YouTube audience also has to say. And I appreciate any comments that you all leave for this founder. Encouraging comments, please. And if you like this type of content, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out. Let's jump into this pitch deck. I want to start by highlighting the fact that we've got a very straightforward explainer sentence. It's a one-liner explain what this startup does. I appreciate that. And we're going to use this as a jumping point. We have here prosthetics service provider. So we're dealing with prosthetics using VR. There's VR, blockchain to provide treatments for amputees in crisis areas. There are a lot of concepts going on here. Prosthetics, VR, blockchain, amputees in crisis areas. Once again, I want you to remember this. Prosthetics, VR, blockchain, amputees in crisis areas. Here we go. Here's your problem statement. 90% of amputees in MEA's crisis areas like Gaza lack treatment due to insufficient rehabilitation centers that operate inefficiently due to lack of international access to prosthetics market. There, at least 130,000 treatments could generate 400 million in profits. First of all, you are on the problem slide. I do not need to have this statement right here. Don't worry about it. Just get into the problem. Now, diving into the problem, we've got 90% of amputees in MEA's crisis areas. I don't know. How many is that? 90%. Is that 100 amputees? So we're talking 90 amputees. Well, that's not a very big market whatsoever. So the investor wants to see size, scope, and severity of the issue. They lack treatments, and I understand, like Gaza, that's a hot topic today, due to insufficient rehabilitation centers that operate inefficiently due to lack of international access to the prosthetics market. Now, I don't know about the rest of you who are listening to this, but I have a very limited worldview of what is going on over there in Gaza. And from what I can see, there is a war going on, and I don't understand how rehabilitation clinics can actually work in those areas. And forgive my ignorance as I sit in my safe North American bubble in Canada right now. I think what you want to do is talk about general areas where people don't have access to prosthetics. You don't have to hit the hot button of Gaza. I know it's a hot button, but you risk pushing that button and causing some political reactions. Talk about the areas where there are lots of wars and people are having amputations done and the issues right there. That's what I recommend. Now we're going to get back into looking all the factors of this problem. So the problem is broken down in the sense that there's a lack of treatments, insufficient rehabilitation centers that operate inefficiently due to lack of international access to the prosthetics market. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 problems going on here. I don't know the scope and the size. I don't know if this is a big market, a small market. You're going to have to educate me, but let's move to the solution statement. Here we are at the solution. It says the meta market, a decentralized marketplace where patients, centers, and providers can present, review, and trade prosthetics regardless of location or currency. Products are presented in 3D and wearable in VR. Immediately, I've got a lot of question marks. I got a lot of red flags. First off, I have no idea what a meta market is. You're not telling me anything. So if you're going to say something, just call it a marketplace. Decentralized marketplace. I have no idea what that means. What are we talking about here? Now, I know about crypto and I know about decentralized fintech, but what does this mean, decentralized marketplace? Because if I have a center center that's operating in these locations, the very name says it's centralized. So there's a center, and you just told me they don't have access to prosthetics, they're inefficient, they don't provide treatments, they can't. So how is this solution solving that problem? You're telling me that a center can go to an online marketplace, this is what I'm assuming, and trade prosthetics regardless of location and currency. So you're telling me that I'm going to trade prosthetics, like I'm going to send you my prosthetics and you're going to send me your prosthetics? Is this like a sneaker marketplace? Not to reduce it to sneakers, but that's what I'm thinking in my mind. Products are presented in 3D and wearable in VR. Now I'm thinking to myself, if we are in Gaza or we are in a war-torn place, do I have access to 3D and do I have access to VR? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. What I am starting to get an inclination of is that you're trying to shoehorn VR, AR, blockchain, decentralized marketplace into some type of solution when I just want to get prosthetics out to people who need them in these crisis areas. Now you're complicating this even further by adding NFTs, the TPA NFT series. What does TPA stand for? Collections built on Ethereum, whose mints finance new rehabilitation centers around crisis areas while distributing centers' profits among their holders as utility. So are you saying I buy NFTs and through that I'm going to become a shareholder in rehabilitation centers? What I am thinking right now is how much these markets can access this technology, and do people really care enough to buy NFTs? The word NFT is a really tough word right now because NFTs have been very maligned in recent years. And so you're going to have to give me a very, very strong use case of how NFTs are different and why we're even incorporating this technology into a problem as visceral, as grassroots, as down to earth as you can get of providing prosthetics for amputees in these war-torn countries. Furthermore, I'm going to be wondering, is there even a market for prosthetics? Can people even afford prosthetics in these countries? That's what I'm expecting you to show me, because these are the questions that are popping into my head as an investor. Normally what happens is after problem solution, there is a market slide, but you get right in your business model. But let's give this the benefit of the doubt. Let's read this through. Prosthetics providers upload their products for a one-time fee. Centers and patients review them for free. All right. So I'm assuming that it goes to a website and someone in Gaza in one of these centers gets to review them. Revenue will be generated through 5% commission on product sales, which is 7% less than usual since we don't need salesmen or laborious product events. Here's the reason I want how it works first, because you haven't explained to me how you get by without salesmen or laborious product events. I'm going to assume that that's very important because we can't send salespeople or hold events in Gaza. And I'm using Gaza as a focus point just to illustrate my thinking here and the logic that we're going to try to follow to make sense of your business model. And then you got NFTs and centers. Every 2 to 3 years, an NFT collection minted to finance the market and one rehabilitation center each. So then are you saying you're going to build these rehabilitation centers? Is that what you're solving? If you said the problem is there aren't enough rehabilitation centers to service people in these countries and we're going to start building rehabilitation centers, now that makes sense. But now we got a marketplace, we're trading prosthetics. We still haven't brought up what trading is all about, but let's continue. These centers are built in Saudi Arabia near crisis areas and generate revenue through treatments, equipment sales, and physiotherapy services. Now, is this a remote center? So if the center is in Saudi Arabia, how am I getting to Gaza? Are you sending a whole bunch of VR headsets over there so they can try out your marketplace? And then what's the installation? I don't even know if you need a doctor to install. Once again, forgive my ignorance. Maybe some of you have experience out there, but do I send a prosthetic over there and it can be self-installed? I don't understand what's going on. And basically you explain how it works, which goes back to what I wanted before you started with the business model. And now we got a hybrid slide of a business model and how it works slide, and those two don't work very well together. Now we got the market slide that I was looking for. And let's take a look at this. Blockchain market healthcare industry. Is the healthcare industry already on blockchain? I don't understand. 3.6 billion. What is that exactly? Is it all the healthcare industry on the blockchain right now? I don't think so, because I'm pretty sure blockchain hasn't been adopted. Then we have the global NFT market, 19.5 billion. That is not your total addressable market. The NFT market has nothing to do with the amputee market in these crisis areas. Now we got some interesting stats here. We got the global P&O markets, prosthetics and orthotics market, which is $6.9 billion. That is not your market once again, because you're telling me that you're going into crisis areas. On top of which is this diagnosis, installation, maintenance, research, manufacturing. There are so many factors with this market. This is not your total addressable market. Then you've got your marketplaces market, which is, I'm thinking it's your SAM. I don't know what you use to establish the segment. You have to show your math on how you're segmenting it. And then you've got your centers market. Is this all the centers in the world? Once again, I don't know how this works because you mentioned Saudi Arabia. How does Saudi Arabia work with Gaza? All that stuff? You've lost me. You're probably starting to see the trend that I'm going to go through here as I look through this deck. We got your competition slide, and you're saying that all these centers in Saudi Arabia are going to be your competitors. Is that what they do? Do they actually service crisis areas? You haven't educated me. Now, it's one thing if you educated me and you said, did you know that there are all these centers in Saudi Arabia that are servicing crisis area amputees? That might be interesting. But you haven't gone there and you're not solving for that problem. So I don't understand. If you're building an NFT and a crypto marketplace on blockchain where things can be traded, how are all these centers competing with you? I'm pretty much going to leave this slide alone because I'm getting exasperated just thinking about it. Once again, you've loaded me with so much information from the beginning, and it's not coming out in these slides. I'm going deeper and deeper into the hole in terms of the inability to understand and have this make sense. Financial projections, I'm just going to say right out of the gate, you have no idea what your financial projections are going to be, so let's not worry about that. The reason you don't know your financial projections is because you haven't told me, you've given me any evidence that you've already generated some revenue. These are just pie in the sky numbers, and so at the beginning stages of an early stage startup, these financial projections don't make any sense whatsoever. Now we've got the traction. 2023 in January to March, you're closing partnerships, provider centers, healthcare organizations. Exactly what does that mean, closing partnerships? Have you signed LOIs? Are there contracts in place? What is a partnership? Now you've got the meta market, August, September, finished market design, NFT artworks, website, white paper, roadmap, and socials. You've given me no evidence that this exists. Now in December, you've got an NFT network going. You build collaborations with these NFT projects. I recognize a few of them. How do those relate to prosthetics? What's the evidence right here? Again, you're showing me all these signs of potential traction, but you're not being direct and exact enough for me to understand or even trust that this traction exists. For example, what is a collaboration? What does that mean? Have they signed something? Are they saying, yeah, we're going to sell all your NFTs for you? I don't understand. Then you say you're going to hire staff and then you're going to do NFT marketing. So far, what I'm seeing is this is just a big NFT project to fund prosthetic centers. Then say that. That's where I'm pretty much going to stop this review right here. I want you to pick one problem, be very clear about it, and then solve that problem. If you're just looking for a reason to create a use case for NFTs, then you're going to have to explain to me how your NFTs are going to be different. Because from my standpoint, and I'm being harsh for a reason, because this is exactly what investors are going to do. I know this because I'm pitching Web3 projects all the time that say NFTs, and NFTs have become a dirty word. All these NFT projects sell NFTs, and then what happens is there's a rug pull. How does it actually get into the marketplace? You have not plugged the gaps. If you're saying legitimately, we are an NFT project and we're going to do it right, then explain it. Now, if you have a better way to allow clinics in Saudi Arabia to service crisis areas and the amputees there, and there's a big market there, then solve for that. Go and create a software that helps those amputee centers in Saudi Arabia. If you want to build your own amputee centers, explain, solve for that. Explain how your centers are going to be different. And then just go raise solid cash for it, because that's going to be a great way to fund the business. You don't need to muddy things up by putting NFTs and crypto and blockchain into it unless there's a very, very good use case. And I don't see that use case right now. I know I came across really harsh, but I'm replicating how harsh investors are going to be. And believe you me, investors are very harsh in this market. They're cynical. They put in a lot of money. Think about FTX. How many of these Web3 blockchain projects are out there where all the speculative money went in and it has gone to dust completely? We are looking for use cases that are different than use cases in the past. And therefore, as soon as someone says NFT, Web3, raising money on the blockchain and trading assets, all that stuff, including decentralized, our eyes glaze over. This is a harsh reality. If you really have what it takes to pull this off, then I want to see it. Show me how you've helped one person receive the help that they need. If that's really you, then show it to me. Go and get validation from these nonprofits, these experts working in these crisis areas, and get them to validate. Because right now, it doesn't look like you really are connected to the marketplace. You might have a big heart for it, but I don't believe you can actually do something about it. I'm being harsh because I want you to get it right between the eyes and have a reality check so that you go back and you put what's necessary in that pitch deck to validate your idea and approve it to me, or go out there and actually prove it by getting a use case out there. Build an MVP and show me what you got. Go back to the drawing board, and if I'm wrong and you're sitting here thinking, but Ed, you don't understand, I'll show you. Prove me wrong. I look forward to it. That's the type of founder that we are looking for. For all you other founders who stuck to the end of this, I appreciate it. Leave a comment. Please support this founder. Keep it nice and let me know what you think about this review and this business model in general, especially if you're Web3. I'm interested in your comments on what we could do to help this founder out. If you want your own pitch deck critiqued and reviewed, leave a comment. I'll let you know how to get that done. And I'm going to put on the screen some other videos in the playlist for you to watch right now. Appreciate you hanging out with me. I'll see you in the next video.